Hey, it's Patrick from JMP Cycles, and today we're going to be putting mufflers on our Milwaukee 8 powered fat bob. This is a 19 fat bob, but for all of the Milwaukee 8 powered fat bobs, this will be exactly the same. The mufflers we're installing today are the S&S Grand National mufflers. Before we get started, I want to go ahead and address something that we always get asked, is do I need to tune or reflash my bike if I change these mufflers? And I'm going to tell you it's not required, but it is recommended. Even a bone stock bike will benefit from a tune, and this one's no different. And we've already upgraded our bike here with this S&S mini teardrop intake, and now we're gonna help get that extra air back out of our motor with these mufflers. Something to know about the fat bob, it's different from the other Softail models, is the cat is in the head pipe here. So this does retain the catalytic converter and makes this legal in all the states. So let's get cracking here, and we'll get our mufflers on our new bike. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take a flat bladed screwdriver, and we're gonna loosen the clamp that's holding this piece onto the muffler. And then there's a 9/16 nut back here that we're gonna loosen that's actually holding the muffler onto the head pipe. We'll do those two things first before we take these two screws out and before we get the actual muffler off. So we're gonna loosen these two up first. The next thing we're gonna do is loosen up these two screws right here. And these are T27 Torx. And you can see we're already kind of loosened up here, but these are gonna have to come off. You might be able to do the install leaving this piece in place, but just so I don't have to fight anything and you guys can see what's going on, I'll take everything apart. So now that this is all loosened here, there's two 3/16 Allens holding this muffler on to the bracket. And top and bottom, the top two are going down, the bottom two are going up. The bottom two are really easy to get to. The top two are a little trickier. I probably, and you probably, won't be able to get a ratcheting Allen in here, or at least you might be able to get it in there, you won't be able to move the ratchet very well. So I'm gonna use the standard old Allen key to take that loose and slide these off. So there's not enough room to get the short end in here to really get torque on this. We're gonna put the long end of the Allen key in there, but then when you do that, you only have this little bit to hold on to here. So a nice little trick, you can stick this in there, just take a crescent wrench, put it down on there, and that's gonna give us some leverage to break those Allen bolts loose. After those two screws are out, this is all loosened up. This should just pull right off. You may have to wiggle a little bit, depending on how stuck it is down here. This one was pretty easy. And like I said before, we're gonna reuse this heat shield, but S&S does send new clamps. We won't need the old clamps. We'll need that heat shield. And they also send new hardware to bolt the muffler on. So for the bottom muffler, it's gonna be the same procedure as the top muffler, just upside down. So you're gonna loosen the clamp, you're gonna loosen the big muffler clamp, then you're gonna take out these two bolts, take out the two Allens from the bottom and pull this off. These two Allens are super simple to get to. The bottom one will come off easier than the top one. Same program with this one. We're gonna get a new clamp from S&S, but we're gonna reuse this heat shield. So now we're gonna put the new Grand National mufflers on, and it doesn't matter top or bottom, they'll work either way. But before that, we're going to slip the heat shield over the top and just leave it loose. S&S Gives us brand new clamps. I'm gonna do the bottom muffler first, so I want this nut pointing down so I can access it easier. Then the other thing is S&S sends new mounting hardware for each muffler, thread locker already on it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slip it on there. I'm gonna start these two into the bottom of the bracket to hold it there, and then we'll move up here and get our stuff squared away. So we're gonna slide this muffler on the bottom, but what we're looking to do is these two blocks right here are gonna drop right inside these tabs when we slide that on. Also, this part of this heat shield needs to slide inside that gold heat shield. So now I'm just gonna start the hardware that goes into the bracket. I'm not gonna get it tight. I just wanna make sure it all lines up. So I'm just gonna start both bolts in there. So before we tighten up our clamp that holds the heat shield on, or the muffler clamp, we need to get these two T27s started in here, make sure everything's lined up. So we'll just kinda slide it around so we can see the holes, and we'll run these two T27s back in there. And you can pretty much tighten those up now. So now we want to do two things. We want to tighten up the muffler clamp with our 9/16 socket, and then we want to go back and tighten up the clamp that's holding this heat shield on. So to finish the muffler clamp off, you're gonna torque it to 40 foot-pounds. Now we can tighten the heat shield clamp with our flat-bladed screwdriver. So now that that's tight, I'm gonna go back underneath here and tighten up my two 3/16 Allens, and the bottom muffler will be finished. So the bottom muffler installation is done. We're gonna repeat the same exact process on the top. Something to note, we will go back and torque these T27s to 120 inch-pounds. When you're putting things back on the top muffler, just remember to put this clamp with the nut facing up. On the bottom muffler, we put it facing down, easier to get to. For the top muffler, you're gonna want it facing up. All right, so now that we have these installed, you always want to give these a good wipe down before you fire them up. Anywhere you touch with your fingerprints, it's gonna leave a mark if it gets heat put to it. Now we're gonna give you guys a listen to the stock mufflers, and then we'll give you a listen to these. But something to note is that S&S ships these with their dB reducer installed. So there's gonna be two different sounds. We're gonna give you the stock sound, then we're gonna fire them up with the dB reducer installed, and then we're gonna take the dB reducer out of it and let you hear it in all its unbridled glory. Personally, I don't like the dB installers on my bikes, so I'll be leaving these out. In between the sound files, we'll show you how to take these out of here. So now you've heard the stock sound, you've heard it with the S&S dB reducers installed. We're gonna show you how to take those out and then let you listen to it with it wide open. So it's the 5/32 Allen. You're gonna pull all 3 of these out. This end cap's gonna slide out. We're gonna slide the dB reducer out, put the end cap back in. So these are stuck on here, we got these loose, but they're in there pretty good. One way to get these out, you can grab the inside of this, the dB reducer part. Do not grab your cap here, you'll scar it up, and you can use it to work it loose. So here's the cap. This is the dB reducer right here. And I'm gonna say, while we're in here, this is the baffle. This is a really good baffle from S&S. Do not take these baffles out of here. They're engineered to go in there. You're gonna get your best performance and actually your best sound with this baffle in here. All right, now we have these bad boys uncorked. Let's hear what they sound like. Nothing like the sound of good old-fashioned American-made horsepower. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us a comment. Go work on those motorcycles.